Welcome to the Capitol News. I am your host, Alex Karitis. Today is April 29th, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope you all enjoyed your weekends. A few stories we're going to address today has to deal with, Rod Rosenstein is finally leaving the Department of Justice. We thought this might have happened earlier. Remember, we thought he might have been out the door back when Bill Barr was confirmed to become the Attorney General. However, he hung on. He was there. He continued through until the end of the Mueller investigation, and of course he was there. He played an integral part, at least that's what the news stories say, when it came to Bob Mueller punting, and instead of Bob Mueller making a determination as to whether or not the President of the United States committed obstruction of justice, he punted. He said, no, I'll leave that to the Attorney General Bill Barr and obviously Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General. So those two gentlemen made the decision, and they said, no, the president did not commit obstruction of justice, and that's where it stands. Obviously, the whole Trump-Russia collusion story is gone. That's on the back burner. If it even exists anymore, that's shot down. And thank goodness. I mean, so many people on the left, in the mainstream media, the Democrats, they're upset that the President of the United States didn't commit a crime. I mean, what kind of world are we living in where our politics have gotten this nasty? The President of the United States did not commit collusion or conspiracy with Russia, and these people are upset about that. I mean, the country should be happy about this. We knew this. This wasn't for you and me and those who have a libertarian mindset or a conservative mindset for the most part, but those who might be listening who have more of a democratic or a liberal mindset and really pay attention solely to CNN and MSNBC, you thought he was going to get locked up. They were going to lock him up, the president, maybe some of his kids, maybe some people within the Trump organization, some other members of the Trump campaign, some other members of the Trump administration, that these people were going to get locked up and they were going to throw away the key. That was going to be the end of it. We were going to impeach this guy. Everybody was going to be happy. Everybody could sing Kumbaya, hold hands. Chant Green New Deal. It's going to come. This is what was expected. This is what people actually thought because they were brainwashed. They listened to the propaganda day after day after day. Oh, he colluded. He conspired with Vladimir Putin. The Russians put him in there. He's a puppet. He's a pawn. Just look at him. He's not tough with Russia. He won't have a conversation. He won't let us know what he said to Vladimir Putin. There was no note-taking. He was nothing. You cannot have a conversation with these people. You just can't because it just puts them on tilt. You can't speak rationally or reasonably with these people. And quite frankly, it's a disgrace because this is something that is really dividing the country, and the mainstream media and many prominent Democrats are just digging in deeper. And now they are clinging beyond all hope that they can get something with obstruction of justice. No, they're not going to change Bill Barr's mind. He isn't going to change his mind and say, oh, yeah, well, you know what, that Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, she made a really good point. Let me change my mind, and now we're going to charge the president with obstruction of justice, or Don Lemon or Anderson Cooper or any of these idiots out there that just have been spinning this for the past 2 years. And don't forget, folks, this investigation has been going on a lot longer than just since Bob Mueller's been. That was the quote-unquote Bob Mueller special prosecutor investigation, but you had this whole thing starting back when it was still campaign Trump. Not President-elect Trump, campaign Trump. That's when this all started. And now we are hoping beyond all hope that the president and his administration are now truly going to start investigating the investigators. We have reason to believe here, and we've stated this multiple times, that investigations have been underway for some time. That better be true, because this two-tier justice system that exists in this country, it has to end. If it doesn't, we are no longer a nation of laws. We are no longer a nation. If you're not a nation of laws, you're no nation. That's really what separates nations from jungle law. That's it. You either have laws that are upheld across the board and applied to everybody, or you don't. We haven't upheld that for a very long time, which in itself is a tragedy. But now we have Rod Rosenstein. He has officially tendered his resignation. He will be out on May 11th, as far as we know, and say, good riddance, Mr. Rosenstein, who I think, quite honestly, was very much a part of this soft coup, if you will, to overthrow the President of the United States. He was there as part of this insurance policy. He just seems like a very shady figure to me, which is not hard to come by when you're talking about people in Washington, D.C. But there was just a whole host of things that came out, whether you want to trust Andy McCabe, and other members of the FBI talking about Rosenstein, and whether he was going to wear a wire, and whether they were going to push for, different amendments to be put forth against the president to say, well, it's not all corpus mentis. He ain't right upstairs. We got to get him out of there. What's going on here? So I think Rod Rosenstein, yeah, he might be resigning from the Department of Justice, but I think his name is going to remain front and center for some time to come. I don't think that he is going to be center stage. I think that is reserved really for higher members within the Obama administration. Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Strzok, people who were there when President Obama was the President of the United States. And again, I think this goes straight to President Obama because we still got stuff going on with Hillary Clinton. And that's going to be something I'm going to have to get into is regarding Hillary Clinton because there's more information that came out with her and the server and her emails because you still have Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Again, I highly recommend you guys get on. You either go straight to their website, Judicial Watch, or you go on YouTube and you search Judicial Watch. They have a whole host of videos out there. Tom Fitton is on there all the time giving updates and briefings and what's going on. And obviously, he can articulate a lot of this stuff better than I can. He lives in that world. That is what Judicial Watch does. They oversee, they're a watchdog, a judicial watchdog for the government. They go to the government. They sue the government for documents, FOIA requests. Again, if it wasn't for Judicial Watch, we never would have known about the Hillary Clinton email scandal. We never would have known a thing. And they weren't even looking for it. They were looking for stuff that had to deal with Benghazi. And just by chance, looking at everything, they said, well, what's going on here? She has a different email? Oh, something. Well, we got to look into this. And then they sue and they go for FOIA records and all this stuff. And, well, lo and behold, boom. The former Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton, had a private email server in her private residence in New York in her bathroom. And, again, we've gone over this quite a bit here. And we're going to continue because it ain't dead. It is not a dead story. Judicial Watch continues to get documents, as I've just said. They continue to find information that was classified. That was all supposed to be released. There wasn't supposed to be anything else hiding somewhere, someplace for anybody to find. Well, they're continuing to find emails. They're continuing to find documents. And you still have Anthony Weiner's name in all of this because there were thousands and thousands of emails that were transferred from Hillary Clinton's server to Anthony Weiner's server because he was married, and I think they might still be married, to Abedin, a very long-time trusted confidant and advisor to Hillary Clinton. So what's going on here? And you have to remember, right, because in all of the mayhem that was taking place in 2016 around the election with Jim Comey coming out July 5th saying, yeah, she's guilty, A to Z, but we have no reasonable prosecutors here, so we can't prosecute Hillary Clinton. And then, of course, Hillary has the audacity to come out and say, well, I think if anybody else did what Donald Trump did, he would be indicted for obstruction of justice. Are you kidding me? Does anybody take this woman seriously? Is this not the hallmark of a sociopath or a psychopath? Does she really believe the words that are coming out of her mouth? Do you? Who believes this woman? If Donald Trump was guilty, well, then my goodness, you're guilty, Hillary Clinton. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You destroyed 33,000 emails after receiving a subpoena. You destroyed BlackBerries physically with hammers. This is what you did. This is what your team did. You can't make this stuff up. They just think, well, if I just continue to lie, they'll just, eventually believe me. Well, guess what? Half the country believes this woman and voted for her in 2016. You can't make this stuff up. I just am at a loss for words how she has the audacity to come out and say what she said, that if Donald Trump, if it was anybody else, they would have been indicted. for obstruction of justice. But she's fine. Whatever she did was absolutely fine. Again, I just think she's such a pathological liar that she is just a sociopath and or psychopath. I honestly believe that. I mean, everything that comes out of her mouth and Bill's mouth is just lies. Now, to be fair, I don't think Donald Trump's a whole lot better, to be honest with you. I mean, he exaggerates on everything. There's a lot of things that he says, they're just straight out lies. Or if he doesn't know what he's saying, then somebody's got to pull him aside and say, look, you're the president of the United States. There are some things that you should just have a handle on, and you can't be saying this type of stuff. Because it's not good. Because that also drives division. Why would you give ammunition to your enemies? You don't have to do it. It makes no sense. It isn't solving any problems. Again, a whole host of issues that we want to have conversations on on this podcast. We still do it because that's what this podcast is about, but we're so distracted on a whole host of other things. Well, they're building a wall that should have been done so long ago. Maybe you not even have a wall, just have true comprehensive immigration reform of some sort where it's actually enforced. That might solve it in and of itself. But we have to be distracted there. We have to be distracted by a 2.5-year investigation that ended up with nothing. Now we're going to have a continuation with these nutheads in Congress, Jerry Nadler, Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, Impeach 45, Elijah Cummings. Where's it going to end? They're going to continue to investigate Donald Trump, his organization, his campaign, his administration, his inauguration, all of that stuff. I mean, there's no end in sight. But at least the president is starting to push back, and we had this conversation last week. He was giving an interview to Sean Hannity, basically said, you know what, we're done. We had this investigation. I did not obstruct justice. I did not conspire with the Russians. You know, we fired Jim Comey, which was well within his rights to do. Everybody wanted Jim Comey fired. The Democrats wanted him fired. The Republicans wanted him fired. Didn't make any difference. Didn't make any difference. But as soon as Donald Trump fired him, whoa, this might be obstruction of justice. He didn't fire Bob Mueller. He didn't fire Rosenstein. He didn't fire anybody. He gave documents after documents after documents. He did not assert executive privilege when it came to these 2 volumes that came out that comprised the Mueller investigation. He didn't do anything. Now you have Democrats who are coming out and want to continue to investigate, continue to want to subpoena this guy, that guy, this woman, that woman. And President Trump saying, no, enough's enough. We're going to fight back on some of this stuff because we just had a 2.5-year investigation, spent $30+ million, and there's no crime. The main crime was conspiracy. There was no conspiracy. Now you can have the lawyers do what all lawyers do and argue the points. You're going to have some who get on TV and say, yeah, this looks like evidence of obstruction. Then you can have others that come out and say, no, there's no evidence of obstruction. That's the game that's played, folks. That's what it is. But where are we getting with all this? Absolutely nowhere. It's more divisiveness. It's more division. It's divide and conquer. Can we not grow up and start solving the problems? Can we have a conversation about Social Security and Medicare and the entitlement spending and the demographics that we face in this country? Can we have a real conversation about trillion-dollar deficits at the end of a business cycle or just trillion-dollar deficits in general? Can we have these grown-up conversations that really affect all of us instead of getting into the middle and the ruckus of all of this 3-ring circus mayhem? Can we just sidestep it? No, we can't. We can't, because this is 2019 in the United States of America on planet Earth. This is where we live. This is the drama that must ensue and pursue and be persistent. And consistent in every which way you want to talk about it. It's driving me crazy. It honestly is. I don't know how these people make a living doing this. They are a rare breed. I think most of them are sociopaths and psychopaths. That's really the only thing that explains it. There's something off mentally has to exist within these people to do what they do on a daily basis. They're not solving any problems. They're wasting millions and billions of dollars, and they get away with it. So I guess in a way you can't blame them. But this doesn't make any sense. This is why a whole bunch of good people who actually might have solutions to a lot of these problems, they stay away from politics because they're not sociopaths and psychopaths. They don't lie, and maybe they can't even lie to people. And they don't want to be wasteful of taxpayer dollars. And they don't want to get into the dirt. They don't want something that they did 30 years ago, maybe, to be misconstrued or mischaracterized. And it embarrasses themselves. It embarrasses their wives, their husbands, their children, their family for something stupid. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does something here and there. What difference does it make? Is the guy good with policy? Is she good with policy? Can they lead? It doesn't make a difference. Where's the dirt? Where's the blackface? Where was the sexist comment? Where was the allegations of sexual misconduct? I mean, that's all everybody wants to hear. It makes no difference, your business acumen. Makes no difference how strong you are on economics or finance or policy. Even the environment. It makes no difference. Everybody just wants the dirt. All right, now getting back real quick to Anthony Weiner. I know that was a little bit of a side tangent, but you had Comey come out again July 5th through the book at Hillary Clinton in 2016. We have no reasonable prosecutors. Then a little time passed, and they said, we found more emails. Remember that? So it's a few years ago already. I mean, it's hard to believe. We found more emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop, and now we have to go through them. There was thousands and thousands of emails. It took them forever and a day to go through all of Hillary Clinton stuff, but they were miraculously able to go through all of the emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop in a few days, and then he comes out again and says, there's nothing there. And of course, the Democrats, that's why they wanted Jim Comey fired, because they said, you just blew the election, pal. How dare you come out? How dare you shift the narrative? Well, then maybe Jim Comey needs to be investigated, which I think is happening. So, I mean, maybe he colluded with the Russians because, maybe that information that he came out, that helped Donald Trump. That could be argued. That's the same ridiculousness you have with Donald Trump. Why can't you say the same thing about Jim Comey? So it's going to be interesting because, again, you have Judicial Watch out there getting more information on Hillary Clinton's email server and having the actual documents given to them because they sued in court and they have the right to have them. So they're getting them and they're sifting through them. And again, go on Judicial Watch, their website, or on YouTube to get those updates because, again, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, he is on top of all this stuff and all of the documents are there for you to see. It is fascinating what this woman got away with. Now, again, we're hoping that this spring and summer we are going to have reports come out from the offices of inspectors general, that we're going to have U.S. Attorney John Huber out of Utah. Hopefully a whole bunch of things are in motion that are going to come out. The investigations into the investigators have to take place. I hope to God it's already underway because I really don't know if a year and a half from now, which is November of 2020, which is the presidential election, is enough time to really get the ball rolling. The president has to make a move, people. That's what I'm telling you. If he doesn't make a move here within the next few months, I'm going to have some serious doubts that he is draining the swamp. But I want it to be true. You have no idea how true a statement I want that to be. This is the Republic right now. We are staring it right in the face, eye to eye. What are we going to do? Are we going to continue on the path that we have been on for decades, which has destroyed this country, which has destroyed the fabric of society in this country? You see the nastiness, you see the divisiveness, you see the trillion-dollar deficits with no end in sight. You see the manipulation in the markets. We talk about that all the time. You see the manipulation in the numbers. We talk about that all the time. If we don't get a handle on this now, we're done. And it's not going to make any difference what any type of conversation we've been having on this podcast and others like it for the past couple months or other podcasts who've been around for years. It's not going to make a difference because the economy is not going to be working for anybody. The legal system is not going to be applied to everyone. So what difference does it make what judge sits where? What difference does it make where the economy is and what the numbers are if the republic is shot, if it's dead? If this doesn't come to a conclusion where there is true justice, hang it up. Hang it up. We're done. It's it. It's game, set, match. Over. Now, I thought this would have happened without a question if Hillary Clinton would have become president, because a lot of this stuff that's taking place now, these investigations never would have happened. She would have won. She would have said, good, that was an insurance policy in case we lost. Well, they did lose, and that was put into place. And now they're like, oh, crap, there was nothing there. We couldn't even find anything to pin them on, and now we might be investigated. because Bill Barr said, yeah, you know what, I think spying on a presidential campaign is bad news. It's bad news. And of course, the Democrats didn't like that because they know what that means. That means they are going to be looked into, because they are the ones who started all this crap. And now they don't like it. But I do, because it's justice. And justice is coming, and it better be swift. Now, Joe Biden, my goodness. I told you this guy, it's unbelievable. He was out there today. I don't want to stay on this, but he is in the presidential campaign. God help us all. Why? I don't know, because he's crazy. But he's out there now, and this just goes to his messaging already. Already, he's just showing how stupid he is. I mean, this is the best he can do. He was out there today, and I only caught some of it. Again, don't lower your IQ listening to these people all day. But he's out there talking about, well, yeah, the stock market's making all-time highs, but it's not good for you, is it? And people, whoa, Joe, that's not really... One, you're basically saying the stock market's at all-time highs, which it is, which is basically just trumping Trump, because he's taken ownership of this. So now he's out there basically vindicating Trump, saying, oh, this is all-time highs, but it's leaving you out. Is that what he wants to do? Is this the argument he wants to make? Is this the class warfare message that crazy Uncle Joe Biden wants to preach to the people? Because it ain't going to work. This, to me, is very reminiscent of Hillary Clinton. And you remember some of the signs out there in 2016? Love trumps hate. Terrible, terrible sign for the Democrats and a messaging for the Democrats to be using. What are the first two words? Love Trump, or love Trumps, plural. Love trumps hate. Well, you're already saying love Trump. I mean, just terrible, terrible messaging from the Democrats, which already it looks like they're going to follow suit. And it's very difficult to beat Donald Trump at marketing and selling. That's his wheelhouse. He names you, he got you pegged, you're done. We already got Sleepy Joe. Now, I'll go back and forth between Sleepy Joe and crazy Uncle Joe Biden because he is crazy. But that's the best he can do so far. I mean, that ain't going to cut it. Basically saying, yeah, the stock market's making all-time highs, but it's not benefiting you, is it? I mean, I'm being left out. Is that really the message he wants to be? I thought he was supposed to be somebody who unified, right? That just seems like more class warfare to me. No, that's par for the course. We're not surprised by this. But you would think somebody who is supposed to be as smart as Joe Biden is, with as much experience as Joe Biden has, that he would have a better message. I mean, well, it's early. It's early. He could come around. He could come back to something. But this is why the man ran, 2 or 3 times and was 1% Joe, right? He never got more than 1% of the vote when he ran for president. I mean, he's supposed to be brilliant. He's supposed to have all this experience that he couldn't get anywhere. Well, his messaging is terrible. It's terrible, and I don't think it's going to get any better. And the president is just going to have a field day with Joe Biden. I mean, this man, go to Delaware and take a nap. He didn't heed my advice. Now he's going to get it. Believe me when I tell you. And then lastly, before we sign off here, a quick update to Brexit, because we haven't talked about Brexit in a while. I've been relieved of that. I'm sure you have been too. But there is a slight update I just want to provide here. It looks like the can is getting kicked down the road even further. Now, last week there was some news out there. Well, it looked like there was some stalling in the talks between the government, the Conservative Party, and Labour. And then it really looked like, oh, well, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it looks like the UK is going to be entering the EU parliamentary elections come May 23rd. Because they're probably not going to make a deal before then that can be put before Parliament and passed and make it through all of its legislative and parliamentary process. And then they could just have a Brexit before the EU parliamentary elections. Well, this week, it's already early, but there's some promising news out there that maybe, just maybe, they can come to some compromise. Is it going to get done within, it's April 29th. Is it going to get done within 3 weeks? Highly unlikely, because this isn't even that they have made a compromise. This is that, the tone seems to be better between both sides, that there might be a compromise. There isn't a compromise, but the tone has shifted, and now there might be some compromises. There might be more of those indicative votes coming up. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It doesn't matter what side of the pond you're on. I mean, if we were to dive into any nation in their politics, we'd have the same story. Same song and dance. Makes no difference. But that's really just the update. So it seems now, no surprise to us, that the UK is likely to take place in the EU parliamentary elections come May 23rd. Because there's unlikely to be a deal struck between the Conservative Party, the Labour Party, in time to put it through Parliament to get everything done before that deadline. Now remember, it's Halloween of 2019 is the drop-dead date. Now, of course, that could change. We've had this goalpost move so many times, but supposedly this is going to be the last one, Halloween of 2019, October 31st. That's the drop-dead date for Brexit. With a deal, without a deal, that's it. See you later. We don't care if there's a deal or not. We don't. We want them gone. It seems more and more likely that there might be some sort of other referendum. God help us if it happens. Again, if that does happen, the British people must revolt. They must. For the sake of their nation, for the sake of the institution of democracy, they have to revolt if it goes to a second referendum. Now, we'll see what Theresa May, the Prime Minister, can come up with. We'll see what she can come up with. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good, but they might come up with something. Now, this is fresh fodder for the likes of Nigel Farage, again, the former leader of the UKIP party, United Kingdom Independence Party, which was basically very, very vocal, huge proponent of Brexit back in 2016 and prior. But now he started, again, his own party, the Brexit Party, and he wants a whole bunch of people from this party to be elected to the EU to cause a lot of mayhem and a lot of ruckus. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's done for 20 years, serving as a member of the European Parliament. Finally got his way in 2016. Brexit occurred, but now here we are 3 years on, and we're still bickering about it. And now you have people within the EU who are now getting nervous about this because they know Nigel Farage is crazy like a fox. They're like, no, come on, we have to get this Brexit, get them out of here. They don't want to be a part of the EU, get them out. Because they don't want 70 Nigel Farages representing the United Kingdom in the EU parliamentary election. They don't want other Eurosceptics coming from other countries, such as Italy, for example, and probably France as well, especially in the midst of the Yellow Vests protests out there. They don't want more Eurosceptics in the EU Parliament. Makes complete sense to me. It really does. But they made their own bed, and this is what they're going to get. So that's a brief update. I really don't have much more to give you on that. I really don't want to get into it because who knows what's going to happen. This is like the U.S.-China trade talks. We're almost at the end. No, we got a few more weeks to go. We're almost at the end. No, we got a few more weeks to go. So I'll keep you guys updated, but this is the world in which we live. Stay tuned. I love you guys. This is the Capital News. I am Alex Karitis. Godspeed.